So many people here actually know me as the president for Students' Union, but I think what I'm about to share with you guys, it's me as a Muslim woman, or me as when I was a part of Islamic Society back in 2023. What I'm going to share, it's not just a policy or it's not just an initiative that we ran. It's actually a lived experience. And the sad reality is that it's still so real for so many other students. So in November 2023, during Islamophobia Awareness Month, ISOC, Islamic Society, they ran a charity stall where they were raising money for the orphans and for the unfortunate people. Something that to do every year, of course, create dialogue and raise awareness. But that month, that year, something changed that none of us are ever going to forget. A woman came to the stall. She said she had questions about the modesty, about the clothing of Muslims. We really welcomed that and we were open to all discussion. But quickly, it turned into something so different. She began making harmful and targeted comments about Muslims. She said that you wore hijabs to attract white men. I don't know how true that is. Muslim men were too dangerous, or she was generally just so intimidated by the presence of Muslim people on the campus. And it was something that imagine saying to somebody that, oh, I think for sorry, Amna, I know she's here when she wears a hijab. Imagine going up to a person who wears a hijab and say so calmly and so confidently that your hijab should just be ripped off. You shouldn't even be allowed to wear one. And the fact that she was saying all those things and saying so calmly like she was just offering feedback. But soon we realized it wasn't just feedback, it was actually hate speech. Despite all of that, despite offering empathy, despite offering like sharing facts, and she dismissed all of that. She dismissed every single thing that we were saying. And then later on, a couple of days later, another person approached one of the Islamic Society volunteers and said, "Oh, you've got bigger issues to be worrying about." And then he referenced to the current global conflicts. I don't know what we were doing at that time or what wrong we were doing. While it was just about fundraising for orphans, we were just doing our part, raising money for the people who really needed it. But then these aren't just isolated moments, they're deeply Islamophobic incidents and everything that happened at the heart of the university, which is so sad to hear about. But as somebody who was there and now the president of SU, we knew we had to do something. And through Amna support, it was reported to report and support. It was raised with the EDI team. It was raised with Pradeep himself. And at that time and moment, we knew it wasn't an apology that we needed. We needed some change. And I really want to pause here and say thank you to so much to every single person who stood with us, from ISOC members to ISOC volunteers to student volunteers to the library staff who really helped de-escalate the situation, and to everyone within the university and the Students' Union who really took this seriously. This work actually wasn't done by one person, it was a collective effort, and I'm so proud of what we've achieved together. I'm not going to stand here and say that everything is fixed because it's really not. But it's still a work in progress, and I can assure you that we're taking all the steps forward to drive that change. So, what have we done so far? Islamic Society is now a protected society within the Students' Union, which means that they have more tailored support, more visibility, and a stronger commitment to their safety and well-being. We host Grand Iftar in the Students' Union. This year we had over 200 students and staff who attended it. Again, it isn't just for Muslim people, it's open to all the people. We welcome everyone. And I think it's very vital for me to stand here and say that Islam, one of the purposes of human creation in Islam, is to have compassion upon the creation, regardless of what they believe in, regardless of what they do. We also host, Islamic Society also hosts daily iftar throughout the month of Ramadan, obviously funded by the Students' Union and the EDI team. We've also launched an Islamophobia working group where student staff and external partners can come together to tackle the hate and raise awareness to drive the meaningful change. With thank you to Tamsin, wherever she sat. She is really working on Aziz Foundation, so we have more scholarships for Muslim people within the university. And I think, let's not forget, of course, we've just gone past Eid. Eid Mubarak to everybody who celebrated it. This year, for the very first time, the university will be sponsoring the Eid event, which will be in collaboration with the ISOC Society. And again, I think one of the most things that I'm the proudest of is the definition of Islamophobia. Let me say that again. We didn't actually just go and grab any of the definition. We didn't rush it. It was bespoke for Salford. We built something that truly reflects the lived experiences of the students. We also looked at the definitions from APPG and MENT, but we took the time to actually ask ourselves, what makes our students feel unsafe? What are the patterns that we're seeing on the campus? And what language do we really need to help to act when Islamophobia actually occurs? But from those processes, we created this definition, which was very clear and grounded in human rights and built with student voice in the center. Let me just quickly read it out to you. So, Islamophobia is a form of discrimination, intolerance, hostility, irrational fear, and/or hatred towards Muslim and those perceived as Muslims, as well as their belonging and places of worship, also known as anti-Muslim hatred. Is this perfect? Maybe not. Is it embedded across everything that we do? Not quite yet. But it's ours. It's Salford's. And it's actually a real step towards justice. But one thing that I've really learned through all of this is that students don't just want to be consulted, they really want to be included. And if we're really serious about the knowledge equity, then we need to understand that student voice can never be a checkbox. It has to be part of decision-making process from the beginning, from the get-go. These lived experiences that the students sort of bring to the university, especially for marginalized and faith-based communities, is a form of knowledge. It's just as valuable as any research paper or lecture. And we know that, as Simone has mentioned, that 80% of our student demographics actually comes from widening participation people. So it's really important for us and us as a university to be so inclusive and understand that we need to work for students, but most understandably and more importantly, that we need to work with students. And the work of knowledge equity network is such a powerful reminder that collaboration has to replace competition. We need to open up education rather than closing it off. And for us at Salford, that really means that we're going to be working with community organizations like Talmama, IAM, and MEND, promoting reporting tools like Safe Zone app, reports and support, and making sure that education and allyship aren't just optional, but they're a part of our culture. We're committed to making sure that no Muslim student or any other student feels invisible, unsafe, or feel like they have to really defend who they are. And we want the same commitment for every single person who studies in the university. But before obviously I close, I want to say one more thing. Thank you so much to every single person who's played a part in this work. Whether you were involved in shaping the definition, delivering training, speaking out, or simply standing with us. I mean, if I was to start counting and thanking people, I would probably lose my train of thought and the count as well. But I do understand that it's not easy work. It definitely takes courage and it takes time. And sometimes it does feel really heavy as well. But it matters, and we're just getting started. It's vital to say that any hate crime has no place on our campus or any other campus. And if we really want our universities to be so inclusive, we need to go beyond statements and slogans. We require action, we require accountability, and we need a culture change. And of Salford, we've really made a start, and I hope that whatever we learn here can be so much useful for any other person in the room. So let's keep pushing together across institutions, across countries, and build universities that reflect the values that we speak here about today. Thank you.
If there aren't questions, I have one, and I don't want to put you on the spot. We haven't rehearsed this at all. It's kind of a big question. But as you were talking, I realized one thing that we haven't done yet in Ken, and it's still a very growing movement, it's still small, is give students a very clear space in it. And I'm wondering whether you can now on the spot give us some ideas of how we can make the Ken network also clearly represent the student voice, how we can be inspired by students, because that for me is so important, that it's not just us teaching students, but that it really is a partnership. And we can learn so much from you, and you are the next generation of global citizens. So can you think of a way? We can also discuss it after the coffee break, give you a bit more time. But I think it'd be really worth it to today think about how we can make the student voice and student groups part of the whole Ken movement. Could you just off the cuff?
No, thank you so much, and I absolutely love that. I think before I start, and I really need to thank the University of Salford, because since I have been in post, I've really seen a culture change where students were probably in other institutions as well, taken as a tick box exercise. And we're coming to realize that it's not just that, it's way more than that. So I love that how in Salford, everything that we're doing, we're sort of making it so student centered. And again, I think it would be an absolutely amazing thing to get students involved in Canva. For that, of course, we need to raise awareness of what it is and how they can efficiently contribute to it. But I can obviously grab you in coffee break and talk a bit more about that and share with everybody here, hopefully, how we can do that.
Yeah, we can discuss it also at the panel. You're going to be at the panel later on. I think we still have a few minutes before the coffee break, but you can also, of course, add, Tamsin.
Something as well that you touched on, which I think is really important, is that legitimizing of all forms of knowledge, because so often we talk about knowledge in a way that is very academic and is very much, you point to the lived experience as a form of knowledge, and it reminds me of Patricia Hill Collins' work of that feminist thought. And so many people have historically been left out of creating knowledge and having that opportunity. And when they have, like when someone referenced earlier, and I know there was a talk at the Advanced HE conference last year around, okay, we go to another culture, we look at all the work that they're doing, and then we bring it back and try to formalize it. And it doesn't look right if we put it in the context of what we know as knowledge. So actually creating those spaces where more forms of knowledge can flourish. We view lived experience, like you said, we wouldn't have had the prime Islamophobia definition without the experience that you had and all the time that you gave to be able to relive that, and in a difficult way to be able to relive that trauma, but actually use it to generate something even better for the community. So I'm talking, I'm realising there isn't a question.
Thank you so much. And I think it's a massive thank to you and your team for being so supportive and encouraging to making this a dream come true.
Masood, please go ahead.
Thank you. 2 comments and then 1 quick question. I'll be quick. Firstly, Eid Mubarak to you as well. I hope you had a lovely, lovely one. Secondly, actually just wanted to highlight something that I forgot to mention, and Tamsin also picked up on that, which is about knowledge systems. And actually one of the key things that is in Ken Declaration is acknowledgement, but also celebration of different knowledge systems and the impact that they make. And sometimes we are in that bubble of actually we think the educational academic knowledge system is the best, but we are seeing a lot of evidence now about decolonization, its impact, indigenous knowledge systems and its impact. We're seeing biodiversity and land-based knowledge systems. So I think there's a real acknowledgement and real acceptance of different knowledge systems and how they can really help us be better as a society. The question I had was, and firstly, how brave is that? Both from your front, but also from the university front. And I really want to congratulate on that, but also how difficult it would have been. And I recognize that. So I just want to acknowledge that as well. The question I have is, now that you have the definition, which is a huge achievement in its own right, what would you like the university to do next? What would be your next priority?
That's such an amazing question. I think there's ongoing conversations as to now we've got it, what's next? I think obviously it was about raising awareness. We've got the definition, but I think it's about still raising awareness. We're never going to get to that point where everybody knows what hate speech is or different forms of discriminating people. And I think by training is definitely one of the useful things. And I think we've been working so much on that. And as I've mentioned about different organizations sort of coming in. But I think I'm having ongoing conversations with Simone herself to sort of replicate the great work that you do at Leeds. In terms of Muslim support networks, and maybe bringing that over here at Salford as well. And I think that would be something great where students and staff both can be a part of something greater. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Alvina.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful.